Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Who's hot?
Oh no. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unconfiscatable Day 2 News Desk. We have awesome panelists joining us today. Hope you guys have been enjoying the conference so far. We are live from Las Vegas, Nevada, with two Bitcoin legends. We have, of course, Jimmy Song, who he volunteered to do a rap for us, just completely off the top of his head today. And we have Bitcoin Mechanic. I am kidding about the rap, but how you guys doing? Jimmy, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. You know, it's the second day of a conference. Always like there's a little lull right around the afternoon of the second day where you feel like you really need a nap. And I am there right now. I am there right now, but I'm here with you. That's how much I love you guys. That's what I would say.
That really means a lot. But to be honest, I was really looking forward to that rap.
Next time. Maybe next time.
Next time. Anyways, we're also with Bitcoin Mechanic. Bitcoin Mechanic, how you doing, man? It was great to see you. Last couple weeks, we were in South Carolina together. Also, Jimmy was there as well. And a historic event. I didn't realize how historic it was until the christening of the, which is really funny that champagne bottle wouldn't break. But thank you so much for joining us today, Mechanic.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I was asking you something. I was asking you guys something on air, or off air, better said, before, and you guys were like, "No, Nico, I'm not going to answer that until the lights go on." So the lights are on now. So I'm going to put you gentlemen on the spot. From a non-technical perspective, right? The average everyday user, now that the wallet of Satoshi has been pulled out of the United States, there isn't really an easy plug and play Lightning wallet. You can say everything you want about, Wallet of Satoshi being custodian, et cetera, but you can't deny the fact that Wallet of Satoshi made it incredibly easy for people just to download a wallet and be able to use a Lightning network like this. Now it's kind of a little bit complicated. So Jimmy, I want to get your thoughts on that, and then we'll move it on to Mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, this is to be expected. The thing that centralization brings is all kinds of convenience, right? Like usability. The channels are already there and open and things like that. That's what you get out of centralization. But really, like, centralized things are very vulnerable to government regulation, and this is why Wallet of Satoshi left the United States, because there are strict KYC AML laws. We can't have nice things, basically, because the government comes in and takes them away. So, it is a little more annoying. I think your words earlier were "Lightning sucks." What the hell? So, I mean, I get that sentiment, and I wish I could, like, wave a wand and make everything fixed. But it's a long process, and it does work. I've taken payment in Lightning for a bunch of my books today, and I do on a constant basis. Maybe the initial download stuff isn't quite as fast or easy or whatever as you would like, but that's okay. This is a decentralized protocol. It's going to require a little more effort on the part of the user, because there's no central party that can add more effort to make things better for you. So I'm okay with that trade-off, and I think people will need to be okay with that trade-off as centralized systems start failing all over the place. And you kind of have to. This is what self-sovereignty means: being responsible for your own stuff.
Do you ever see a moment where the decentralized or the self-custody platforms, the self-custody Lightning, gets to a point where the convenience it's never going to be as convenient as something centralized, but gets close to the convenience of something that is centralized? Do we ever get to that moment? Because, and the reason I'm asking that question is, it's not that I don't have the technical know-how in order to set up a Lightning, Lightning channels, and I already have a node at home and all that stuff. But it's just like, I'm just focused on making media, like I want a plug and play solution. I'm sure there's a lot of other Bitcoiners that feel the way that I do. Of course, I have my cold storage main state, main chain. I'm not concerned about that. I'm totally fine with that. But do you ever see us getting to a point where we have a self-custodial Lightning wallet that the convenience is there for the average everyday user that just wants to download an application and it's boom, ready to use?
Yeah, I don't know. And I certainly think there's a lot of companies that are trying to do that, because if you crack that, there's probably some money in it for you. So,
Well, how convenient is it having your money stolen?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to trade it off. It's not like you just have convenience with no trade-off, right? So it's always got to be that taken into consideration.
and I think we'll get different solutions and stuff like that. But I mean, it works. I think it works okay. I mean, like getting somebody that has no Bitcoin whatsoever, some Sats, like without any channels open and something like that. That's not easy. Like, because of the way it works and because of the properties of the network. So I, everyone wants everything, but there are trade-offs, and I think at some point, people figure out the right amount of trade-off for X, Y, or Z, where it sort of takes hold because people find that trade-off to be the most convenient.
Absolutely. So a couple weeks ago, like I was saying earlier, we were at this historic event, and shout out Mechanic, absolutely incredible, man. What you and Luke, and congratulations with Jack Dorsey and raising money for the company. That is absolutely phenomenal. So for anyone who's not in the know, I'm sure you're in the know by now, but just in case, you guys just announced Ocean. Apparently, it's the first decentralized Bitcoin mining pool to some extent. A little bit.
Called it that. We're working towards decentralization of block template construction,
Boom.
leveraging Stratum V2. There is only so far you can go with all this stuff, and I think the like we're talking about Lightning a second ago, right? It's scaling Bitcoin is hard. There are people trying to do it. I don't really want to interrupt them. I haven't had a very good experience sometimes using my Lightning node, but at the same time, I know what it's like to create something and work towards a goal while everyone's, makes complaints about everything along the way, right? Like there are things about Lightning that suck, but it's a work in progress. And when it comes to disintermediating between the Bitcoin network and the miners or the hashers, it's a hard thing to do. And if you want to go whole hog and do it P2Pool, we know it just doesn't scale for a couple of reasons. You can't pay out 10,000 people in one block. It's just literally not possible. You can't have 10,000 people all keeping track of everything everyone else does. In both cases, it just doesn't scale. So you have to find the least bad compromise and the most transparent way of saying, okay, no one wants to solo mine. Let's get a whole bunch of people together. Let's all mine together. And let's put as little of a role in the whole mining process in the pool as possible. So we said, all right, what can we leverage today? We can make block templates transparent, so we never surprise anyone with what actually gets found. We're constantly telling people, this is what is going to be in the next block. And ironically, this caused a lot of people complaining about stuff for blocks that didn't exist yet, as opposed to the current model, which is complaining about blocks once they've already been found, and people were mining on things that they would never have consented to. So we did that, and we made it so you could verify your payout splits as well, which is just not possible otherwise. So this is a massive improvement, and it comes before any Stratum V2 stuff. Stratum V2 is the holy grail, but it's further down the line. Obviously everyone knows that is what everyone talks about when they talk about improving mining. Is decentralization of block template construction. That's going to be fantastic. But the other thing we're doing, which I don't even know if I had a chance to get into, was the ability to use Lightning, which ties back into the first thing, which means you can have liquidity providers come along and pay out people for what they're doing. The pool can reassign shares, and you have millions of miners mining into Lightning channels and a couple of entities turning it all into giant UTXOs, which is great. It's more efficient. It helps everyone. It maintains a fair degree of trustlessness and transparency, and the whole thing is going to work really beautifully. But it's quite a big ask of the Lightning protocol in its current state. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be 2 weeks unless I'm being figurative.
Gotcha. So, Jimmy, you were also there at the event in person. Were there any things that surprised you? Anything that got you really excited, et cetera, et cetera?
I mean, I was glad to find out some more of the details, but I think it's a fairly new entity, and I think learning about like exactly how it'll affect the ecosystem it's not easy to project or to know the significance of it at this time, but I'm excited about it. The mining was in China for a long time, and most of the pools were Chinese based. And I think now that a lot of it is in the United States, it makes sense that there's probably more mining pools based in the United States. I think Foundry is one, but Ocean being another one, and more of them coming on and giving miners a choice. I think that's a good thing. I'm still waiting for like the home mining stuff that Jack's been talking about with like development of ASICs and putting those into consumer and electronics and stuff like that. That's where I think it really gets interesting. So I'm still waiting for those.
Absolutely. And you did mention, I want to pass it on to Mechanic, because Mechanic, you're now part of Ocean, of course, which is after the China ban, the movement of not only a lot of the hash, a lot of the mining infrastructure, but some of the mining pools are now located in the United States. And over the last 2 weeks, man, 2 or 3 weeks, the I call them the monetary demons. They've been losing their minds, right? You have Elizabeth Warren openly calling for the banning of Bitcoin. You have the U.S. Treasury taking advantage of the tragedy happening in the Middle East to use the Patriot Act to introduce these I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but these surveillance tools using the FinCEN. So clearly, the regulatory environment in the United States isn't necessarily the best. And where I'm going with this is the Office of Foreign Asset Control. We know a couple of years ago, you had Marapool, announced the first, OFAC compliant mining pool, and somehow they thought that was a good idea. The community fought back ruthlessly. Apparently, they walked it back. But do you ever see a situation in a couple of years where the U.S. government steps in and says, "Hey, listen, you can only mine so-called clean blocks"? And does that worry you at all? Why not set up Ocean in El Salvador?
Well, like you point out, America is not the only country in the world. I think we've demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt that we will do what's right for Bitcoin, no matter how much problems it creates and how much hatred we get for it. So, without sort of going into too much detail, I think I can just leave it at that response, which is America is not the only country, and the point is to do what's right for Bitcoin, not what's right for the company. And I think we've got a pretty good track record of that in the 1 week we've existed.
Speaking of hate, you guys have been getting a lot of that on Twitter. Surprisingly, I was like, what the F is going on?
Yeah, some of it's due to bad communication on my part, but they do say never explain, never apologize. And I don't really think it could have gone any other way, really. The launch was the launch. To us, the main controversy is around the fact that we unfortunately we have control over what goes in the block templates that we produce. We've already said that the whole goal of the company is that we don't want to be in that position, but while we are selecting transactions for what goes in our templates, we're going to use it responsibly, and we don't think it's responsible for obvious non-monetary use cases. And this can be objectively defined, right? There's the conversation about spam. What is spam? One man's spam is another man's, not spam. But the point is, we're saying, look, we had a whole conversation for years about what we do about arbitrary data in Bitcoin. This has been gone over at this conference a bunch already, but eventually we come up with, if you have no means for people to store arbitrary data in Bitcoin, then they start bloating the UTXO set. So let's officially say, all right, here's the sandbox, and it's called op return. We're going to make it this size. No, actually, we'll make it that size. No, actually, we'll make it this size. But that was generally how the conversation went. And then Taproot came along, and then one of the aspects to it that wasn't really understood was the fact that you could bypass the op return limit and just store an entire block's worth of data that has nothing to do with anything native to Bitcoin. And we're saying, yeah, obviously an exploit. Obviously, we don't want to let people egregiously abuse this and just fill up blocks with, to make matters even more insulting, it's all in service of scams and ordinals and all this stuff. We know it's all scams, so it just adds insult to injury. So we're saying, all right, we're not being a party to that, and there's a freedom to do it. And this gets mischaracterized by people who are just ideologically lost, who think that the free choice involved in that and the correct usage of our responsibility is censorship. which is a ridiculous proposition. It's up to you to enforce the rules you want to enforce. That's the freedom that Bitcoin allows. It's worth celebrating. And for the free market enthusiasts, they finally have a place where they can mine, where they don't have to contribute to the open defacing of the Bitcoin blockchain. And I celebrate that we exist and we provide that service to people.
Gotcha. So Jimmy, you've been around quite a long time. Yeah, you consider.
Thanks. I think you just said that I'm old.
No, I didn't say that. I said quite a long time. Quite a Bitcoin OG. I'll put it like that. So, what's your take on the whole ordinal inscription debate and mechanic? Like, honestly, isn't this just like the free market? Isn't just going to sort itself out eventually?
I keep saying it. No, it's crass. But if your kid runs out into traffic, you don't go, let the free market sort it out. You go and save your kid from the traffic. Like the proposition that you have to abide by every single thing within Bitcoin, within the principles of free market, means you need to match that with the proposition that developers can never make mistakes, which is not a reasonable position. The position everyone is taking now is literally the one when that guy printed 21 billion Bitcoins or something. There was a bug, right? And the guy made billions of Bitcoins. People now, if they're being consistent with their ideology, is saying you cannot fix that bug because it's censorship. And that is ridiculous.
100%. So, Jimmy, last question to you. I know you're tired. I know you want to get some rest. What's your take as a Bitcoin OG on the whole inscriptions and ordinal stuff?
I mean, it's obviously really, really stupid, and I mean, it's retarded, right? Like it serves nothing other than scammers, and the people falling for it are even stupider than the people that created it. But I mean, the bigger thing I think that we're talking about is, okay, the economically rational thing to do for a miner oftentimes is to include some of these because you are getting paid for it. But I think what Ocean is introducing is, well, fuck you and your money. Who cares, right? Like if you want to pay us to do that, I'm still not going to do it because it's against my principles. It's against my morals. And I think that's okay, right? A miner can have morals. I think that's totally fine.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, gentlemen, this was an honor. Guys, make sure to check out Bitcoin Mechanics Company, ocean.xyz. And of course, Jimmy Song's book, Fiat Ruins Everything. It just dropped. I had the honor of having Jimmy on my podcast. We had to talk about it. So definitely check out this book. It's absolutely great. Jimmy, thank you so much. And Mechanic, thank you so much. Keep up the good fight, gentlemen. It's an honor to be in the trenches with both y'all.
All right.
You too, Nico.
Take care. All right, everybody. We are moving on to our next guests.
Adam Meister, another Bitcoin OG.
Adam Meister. Adam Meister, and it says, looks like we got Dom.
What's Dom doing here?
We got Dom in the house. Wait, hold on a second. Let's squeeze in Alex.
I can pop off. He's
on next. He's on next. Okay, we got to get the legendary host of Cafe Bitcoin in here, and maybe we convince producer Jacob as well. Anyways, we have the Meister, Adam Meister. This guy has been making Bitcoin content. I think I had diapers when you started. So how you been, man? How are you,
Nico? It's just a pleasure to see you, man. It's
too,
awesome.
dude.
You always pump me up. Man, pound that like button, everybody. I'm gonna rip this thing. I'll bring this thing, make this thing on fire, baby. You know I'm bringing the energy here.
Wait, hold on. Did you just say fire, Dom?
I'm on it. There's an extinguisher outside. The pin is already pulled, ready to go.
Okay, I'm just waiting for Dom just to rip off his shirt and go into firefighter mode. I tried to activate it before. It didn't work out.
Tatum does that for me now. I kind of just watch. I'm like a coach.
Okay. Adam Meister, what's up? The Bitcoin Meister, dude. How many unconfiscatables have you been to now?
This is my third one. Yeah.
Okay.
Including legendary 2020 when it was almost panic time on the earth. Man, I wasn't putting any hand sanitizer on or mask or any nonsense like that. I was on a bus from LA to Las Vegas, a filthy bus, baby. I love the germs. And baby, after the next week, everybody panicked, sold their freaking Bitcoin for what was it, $3,700. I bought 2. Those are my 2 proudest ever. I spent total $10,000 on those 2. You know what they're worth now. That's how you have a freaking strong hand. That is conviction. Some of our fellow Bitcoin content creators, they don't show their heads anymore, but they panic like little status babies. It really separated the weak from the strong hands. That would soon have. So 2020, fond memories.
So, and I just want to say something about Adam Meister, right? And, you see this you see it with Jimmy, but the further you go down the rabbit hole, the less fucks you've given, the less fucks you give. And you see this, Max Kaiser is just a perfect representation of this. This is what happens when you spend like a decade in Bitcoin.
Yeah, let me tell you about not giving an F about certain things. Okay. I was talking to some people out there yesterday. I'm like, these Bitcoin things are always sausage fests, man. We need to get this to be a little bit more.
I brought a couple biddies.
Yeah, no. And that's what the brother said. He's like, man, we need some, big booty Latino women here at these events and stuff. We need dancing. And I was like, yeah, let's do this, man. This is awesome. I love it. I really like it. So I don't give a fuck. F. I didn't say most people, as I don't curse, man. I don't curse on these shows. So this is a child show. But this is for the children out there. We like men and women. They're men and women, dudes. It's good to have women at these events. It's usually, again, 90% men, but I would love to have women that have big booties and dance and do all sorts of things, man. Like we're at the club and everything. There's no problem with that at all.
Well, I know Dom's all about that as well. So
such a bad rap you throw on me, man. Come on, dude.
Bro, your name is Dom, dog.
It's Baywatch on Twitter. Come on, bro.
Literally, your name is Dom.
Yeah, there's some booties out here for sure on the strip. Things are getting wild. So yeah, Adam, dude, I walked in right now. I met Adam here for the first time and I couldn't find my shades. And he goes, dude, don't worry. You're going to find them. And I looked over to the table and they're just right there. And I was like, damn, dude, this guy's an oracle, man.
I have some good intuition. It's from my mother's side and stuff. I can tell you all sorts of very interesting stories, but again, it's not intuition knowing that Bitcoin's going to be, the next big thing, everything. It's just pure logic. Okay. We got to bring it down to logic. No mystical stuff here. Bitcoin is numbers and it's logic. It was obvious to me in 2013 and I stuck with it through 2014, 2015. 2015.
Did you have strong hands?
Oh yeah, I had strong hands, but 2015.
Talk to me about strong hands. Bro.
2015, they were saying it was going to zero. I mean, that was still a really legitimate thing, not just like the drug addict trolls that say it now, the doomers that are out there. No, it was legitimate people in 2015 saying, yeah, it might go to zero or something. I was like, no, man. I mean, I've got proof, man. I got the receipts. I tweeted out, when I paid $200 in 2015 for 1 Bitcoin. And again, people try to say, oh, you're just lucky and everything. No, it's not luck. It's conviction. It's, reading information and acting upon it, not being a tree and complain and being a doomer and saying the whole world's going to end. But guess what? The world didn't end. They said the world was going to end 2015. They were saying, oh, the world's going to, everything's going to collapse. Everything's going to. No, dudes. The rich get richer, dude. That's why, because they know it goes on and on and on and on. And it has been such an awesome ride. So, you doomers right now, their big thing right now is saying that CBDCs, no, that's just, Bitcoin was created so that you would end up a CBDC slave. What are you talking about? You have the worst excuses why you're a no coiner. Just say you're a loser. You're a loser if you've got to make up conspiracies like that, because they never come true. But people love those conspiracy theorists. People, they like stories. People like little imaginary stories and everything, and they like telling each other stories. And that's where they're poor. They'll never act on anything, and that's why they'll say you're lucky. It's so simplistic. You have basic knowledge and you act upon it.
Okay. Hold on.
Wait. Hold on. We need to give Adam some.
Do it again and give it. There we go. You are listening to Simply Bitcoin at Unconfiscatable. Smash that like button. Anyways, okay, Adam, hold on. So you just said so much dope shit. It's so much at all the time, and I'm like, listen. A lot of people, when they hear that, they'll say, okay, I'm too late to Bitcoin, though.
Well, again, it's not super early because when Michael Saylor got in September of 2020, that actually was a turning point because corporations, it was a dream for us back in the 2016 days that corporations would buy Bitcoin for their treasury. I mean, that was like, so once he did that, it wasn't super duper early, but it's still early, man, because most of all the normie, Good Morning America and everything are just like repeating the talking points of our worst enemy in politics, Elizabeth Warren. I mean, that is what the normies know. Whatever Elizabeth Warren says, that's basically what the norm. So if you can understand that what she's saying is totally fake and totally nonsense and just a way to control the masses,
What'd you think of that puppet show they had with all the CEOs of the bankers led by Jamie? That puppet show they just had where Diamond was like, I would shut it down.
Yeah, that was so funny. That was like a total boomer. Okay, dude. I mean, it was such a.
They were lined up so perfectly. Did you see that? Like just the positioning, it was like a play or something.
Because he doesn't want her to come after him. She is the worst because she names names. She's like, I don't like Elon Musk. He doesn't want her to say, I don't like Jamie Dimon. She shouldn't be it baffles my mind. We've gotten to this point with our elected officials that they go out and pick on specific citizens and people think that's cool. It's like the Salem freaking witch hunts.
No, it's crazy. And I do have that clip lined up for us. So we can have a live reaction. Let's check it out.
Has been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customers, sanctions, OFAC, they can bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
Tax avoidance is the best
monetary
one. Did you just say tax avoidance?
Adam Meister, imagine you were in that room, all right, and Murphy was Jamie Dimon, all right, and you were looking at him. What would you say?
I'd be like, dude, preservation of freaking wealth for when your friend Elizabeth Warren becomes president and prints like $1 trillion freaking dollars and gives it away. Okay, there's a use case right there. Unconfiscatable. So when Elizabeth Warren deems you a terrorist, she can't take away your wealth. She could take away your Bank of America account. You might like that, Jamie, but there's your use case right there for Bitcoin. So, screw your drug deal. You're repeating the mindless talking points that appeal to the normies, that appeal to the boomers, that's the bread and butter of Elizabeth Warren.
How about this case? What if you don't want to support the bank that supported the Epstein operation? So you said, I want to use a different money than that.
I don't want to support you, dude. There's a use case right there.
That's public printing. They settled that out. They paid that fine.
Rustin isn't even on the stream.
You know what? He's a smart man. He knows there's other use. She might not know. I don't know what she knows. But he's a smart guy. He's got his own little stash there, no doubt about it. But whatever,
There was a lot of people thought that when he had his arm in that sling, it was from hauling miners up to the high-rise building in New York of his offices.
He knows how the game's played. I mean, it's economic fascism in this country. You get the government to create some type of rent-seeking situation, put some obstacle in there that favors they pick winners and losers, and they picked him as a winner. They picked his company as a winner. And it's true economic fascism. No one will call it out. But hey, if you don't want to participate in economic fascism in the United States, you buy Bitcoin. You avoid those.
Does it worry you two gentlemen that you were talking? Let's talk a little bit about the normies, right? Like the only reason that Elizabeth Warren is able to basically peddle this bullshit is because a lot of people are still asleep. A lot of people are still distracted with the bread and circuses. You were talking about your experience on the bus, and you're just like I didn't care about wearing a mask, and I did the same thing. But I lived in Florida, so it was a little bit easier. So does that worry you at all? And I remember there was a Coin Stories podcast that Natalie Brunell did with Michael Saylor, and Natalie asked him, what keeps you up at night? And Michael Saylor had an interesting answer. And he's like, just people don't care about sound money. So, again, like if the government's going to roll out these CBDCs and it's like, look, guys, let's adopt them. Why not? These are good for you. Isn't it worry you that just there's only a small amount of people that actually want freedom?
It doesn't worry me because I like being elite. I agree that they're not going to, they are losers. The 80%ers out there, no, they're just going to watch the NFL and stuff all the time. They're happy. We live in this era of just incredible technology, and the technology is getting better and better and better. And they will just get lost in these virtual worlds and they will be happy. And I'm not here to save the whole world. I am very comfortable with the fact that the dollar isn't going to go anywhere. They are hooked on it. They will love the CBDCs. They will love the negative interest rates. They will love the negative 10% mortgages that are given as reparations for whatever this country crime has done to these people, that the other. So it does not worry me that I am totally confident in Bitcoin, that it can just be the money, the savings of the smart people. All the information's out there already. You can choose the bread and circuses, or you can choose to be elite. Most people are scared to be elite. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. We are the counterculture. They are the regular culture. Okay, and that's just it's sad. But the mainstream is just going to get. They're not getting any smarter, okay? They're becoming more and more dependent. So in a sense, some of these power lusters, they're going to win. They're going to control more and more people, but they're going to make them totally docile and harmless. And we, the elite, will just get richer and richer and be in our own little worlds if we need to be or whatever, just interacting amongst each other. We can't save everyone. I just want to say that don't try to do that. Do what's best for you. Do not sacrifice your life to save the 80%ers.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Adam Meister and the Dombe. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it, Adam. Really appreciate it, Dom.
I appreciate it. It was a pleasure. And that energy, baby, you'll see it anywhere I appear. It is real. I love it. I love life.
Check out Adam's YouTube channel. And of course, the Dom has a show on the Swan channel, the Satoshi Nakamoto Portfolio. And we're going to be dropping some episodes soon. So Dom, Adam, thank you so much for joining us on
that like button.
Simply Bitcoin News Desk at Unconfiscatable Day 2. All right, we're going to bring on our new guest. We got Ben Gagnon. I see him. I'm making eye contact
No, I
with
think
him.
It's Alex.
Okay,
Yeah. I'll pop out.
Okay, we're gonna get Ben Gagnon in here. All right, here we go. Doing this live. Bear with us. Where's Ben?
All right, guys. So Spaces is getting wild in here. It's getting wild in here.
Right here. Yep. All right. Show just got real. We got Ben Gagnon. He's the chief. He's
mining officer.
I know, but I was like trying to come up with like a cooler word. Chief hash rate officer at Bitfarms. And a good friend as well. Good to see you, dude. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
You're doing good to see you. Seems like you're doing well. Of course, we have the legendary host of Cafe Bitcoin, Alex Stanzik.
What's up?
There is no lizard people in 100-yard vicinity. Alex Stanzik's energy makes sure that doesn't happen.
Probably a good thing. Well, thank you, sir.
And of course, Neil Jacobs. Neil Jacobs is he works with me at Swan, and he is the Neil. What's your official title? It's slipping my mind right now.
Head of brand engagement.
Head of brand engagement. Neil is an absolute Twitter wizard, and he has this amazing merch shop too. He's the founder of FOMO21. Guys, check out FOMO21 if you want some of the best Bitcoin merch in the game. Ben, we're going to be on a panel in a little bit. We're going to be discussing public mining versus private mining. I'm really looking forward to it. I was so excited to hear that you're coming to Las Vegas last minute. So, hey, man, how you doing? How's life?
I'm doing good, man. Hash price hit 10 cents.
Okay.
How can you not be good right now?
What about the hash rate? The hash rate just continues to go parabolic. What's going on there, man?
Everybody's getting ready. I was actually looking at and doing a little bit of analysis prior to this. Even though the hash rate's growing like crazy, we're still benefiting from the China mining ban today, right? Wow. The hash rate should be higher. If you look at the peak of hash price relative to where hash price goes into the halving kind of every epoch, it's 99, 98% down every single time. This time, 75% drawdown. So like we've never had this strong of a hash price going into a halving.
So is this a good this is bad news for pleb miners essentially, isn't it?
No, it's great news for every miner.
Okay.
It's a bad news for shorts.
Okay. So if you're a short, if you're a bear, you're gonna get screwed. Anyways, Alex Stanzik, how you doing, buddy?
My man, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Cafe Bitcoin, man.
Yes, sir.
Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, right?
Yeah. Well, I do Monday through Thursday, and then they give me a little bit of a break on Fridays.
Okay. You come in hot, and we have Jacob in the background. Jacob, I know that you're hiding, but I'm gonna say it. You're the best producer in the game. Opti, that's right. I said it. Anyways.
Tell Chris that too about.
Oh, where's Chris? No, you. All right. Best producers in the game. What's up, Alex? How you doing?
We just appreciate all you guys so much, man. So shout outs and thank you. I'm doing great. It's great to be here. The weather here is absolutely beautiful. We've got this incredible view looking out here. See the mountains in the background. There's tons of energy, amazing people. We've got Vays right over here. The man put this thing together. It's been great. Heard nothing but awesome things the whole time, nonstop, running into positive, optimistic Bitcoiners. Just really looking forward to this next couple of years, man. It's gonna be fantastic.
Hell yeah. And also, guys, I didn't quite give the proper introduction to Alex Stanzik. He's also a managing director at Swan Private. He deals with high net worth individuals over there. So you're looking at this recent price pump. What are you telling your clients? Are your clients getting excited? Are they piling in? Are they telling you like, hey, maybe I'm going to wait for the dip? What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, there's a wide range, as you can imagine. There's people who are contacting us who've been thinking about getting involved in Bitcoin for some time and basically didn't do anything. They've thought about it, they've looked at it, and then the price starts to run, and they realize, oh man, I better get on this thing because it's rolling. And then on top of that, there's other people who think maybe it's a good time to sell some and then try to rebuy on a dip. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Not recommended. I know people who have lost millions and millions of dollars trying to play that game. It doesn't usually work out well. But there are so many bullish factors in the market now. It's really quite fascinating to see all the confluence of vectors that are occurring here. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about this potential for ETF approvals. It's looking like it's probably going to be happening here, probably first quarter of next year. But on top of that, there's a lot of other things. One thing that I think is super important is that, you've heard this thing about, the institutions are coming for a really long time, and well, they're here. But what's probably more important than that is that it gives sort of the green light for a lot of people who've been on the fence for a really long time, looking at this asset thinking, is this okay to do? Like, what's going to happen with this thing? But it's basically blessing it from a traditional finance perspective. And more importantly, you hear this thing about, well, Bitcoin doesn't have a marketing department. There's no CEO. There's none of that kind of stuff. Like, the thing is, though, once those ETFs get approved, these institutions have an incentive to do analyst coverage, and they're going to. So the next couple of years, you're going to have the largest financial institutions in the world doing analyst coverage on Bitcoin. And that's never happened before. So I'd say hang on, because that's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be a wild ride. And also, just want to add another metric. 70% of Bitcoin is making an all-time high. It has not moved in over a year. You have Larry Fink saying there's going to be a flight to quality. Like, what the F is going on? And we just had Adam Meister here, and he was talking about the early days. We could have never have imagined where we are today. Also, Michael Saylor has been vindicated. His average buy-in price, about $30,200 per coin. Nayib Bukele, El Salvador, was vindicated as well. Their average buy-in price was about $40,000 per coin. So they're proving it on the nation state level, on the public company level. But I want to pass it on to Neil. Neil, what's up, man? I'm so happy that you made it out to Vegas. I'm just going to dox myself a little bit. All you guys are coming to my wedding, and I'm super happy that you guys are all going to make it. Neil, what's up, man? What's on your mind? I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super fired up to be here. It's great to be around other Bitcoiners. There's a lot of great positive energy. It's great to promote Bitcoin companies. You see a bunch of their stuff up here, the BTC trading cards, Sovereign Energy, awesome guys. I don't work for them or affiliated with them. I just think it's awesome. that we're here to promote. Thank you. Bitcoin companies and people who have the same ethos or similar ethos to all of us. And yeah, it's just great to be here. I don't know.
So you just joined Swan, man, and it's happy for you to be in the family. And Ben, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know that Tatum's over there and his show is in between two ASICs. Ben, you're currently in between three Swans.
Yeah, I hadn't run the math, but that checks out.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like warm and safe, like a big blanket.
Do you like my feathers more or Alex's?
I think I have to lean towards yours, Nico.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that.
Got a little sultry there for a second.
Oh, man. Okay, guys. So we have, half day. We have another half left of the conference. Are there any panels that stuck out to you? Are there any panels that you've liked? Anything that you've enjoyed about Las Vegas? I love making this. I really call it a pilgrimage. That's a hard word. Every single year to come to Tone's event in Vegas. Anything that's popped out to you so far, Ben?
I always love D++ stocks. She has this uncanny ability to make technical things sound simple and easy to digest. We need more of that because nobody understands really, outside of unless you're doing this every single day, you don't understand what's going on. You need somebody to help walk you through this technology. Otherwise, you're never gonna get involved. So, I think she was fantastic, and she's always good.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. What about you, Alex? Anything that's stood out to you so far?
Just getting together with everybody again, seeing all the various different people who are involved in Bitcoin. It's I highly encourage people to do something like this. If you've never done it before, I've heard people say, well, I don't know anybody yet. They're new to the Bitcoin ecosystem, or they're new to the asset, or they're new to all of it. And they're like, well, I don't know anybody or whatever. Go to these conferences. I promise you'll meet new friends, and it'll be a great time. And you will start to figure out some of these people are some of the smartest, sharpest, most competent people you will meet. And to start to learn the types of people that are attracted to Bitcoin, it will give you a really good idea where the future of this is going.
Absolutely. The future is bright. How Corey says, the bright orange future, 100%. How Alex Stanzik says, get on the mission. Anyways, Neil Jacobs, anything that stood out to you so far since you've been in Vegas?
Yeah, anytime you could hear Giacomo Zucco at any conference speak, it's a great opportunity. He's one of the few people I make sure that I'm in a seat. He's hilarious and he's brilliant. So that was great yesterday. So far today, I haven't seen too many of the speakers today. I did see a few swans. I saw Terrence moderating a panel with Sam Callahan. They're both great swans. It was good to see them on stage, and they did a great job. But yeah, the event's been great. The carnivory dinner last night was unbelievable. It was top notch, melt in your mouth kind of food. So what could I say? It's been fantastic.
Absolutely. So I have a special clip for you guys from the lizard people, like Alex likes to call them. Here of Jamie Dimon being interviewed by Elizabeth Warren in regards to Bitcoin and the entire industry. And I wanted to get your guys' reactions to this. So let's check out the clip.
Has been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case. Because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have been built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
Elizabeth Warren was so happy with that. Okay. She was like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for this last couple of weeks. I finally got it. Do you guys remember during the Iraq war, there was that general when they captured Saddam Hussein? Which camera am I looking at, Murphy? That one, this one. Okay. And they were just like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And then the whole audience started clapping. Elizabeth Warren just had that moment on TV, even though she thinks she had that moment. In reality, Bitcoin Honey Badger doesn't care. So I want to get Ben. You like the rest of us on stage. You work in the industry. You devoted your life to the industry. You're betting on the success of the industry. You have a politician who's openly wanting to ban Bitcoin in the United States. And then you have the CEO of the largest bank in the United States saying government should ban this thing. Does that concern you at all?
concern, I don't know if it's the right word. Expected is probably the right word. With politicians, I think their primary incentive is to tear you down so that they can give themselves more power to fix the problem that they just created. And it's a vicious cycle. And so anytime that you see them talking about, what they're going to do, like I'm pretty sure it's designed to ruin your life and give them more power.
Yeah, 100%. Alex, your take on that?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's expected. Like, what else would you expect somebody like Jamie Dimon to say? Look at their industry. Look at what is Bitcoin actually fixing? Like, why does banking even exist, right? They have this ledgering system that at one point made them the centralized authority that verified all transactions. That's why banking started in the way that we know it today. And one of the things that Bitcoin has solved is it's removed the need for a centralized authority to say, yes, this is a valid transaction. Any human being on the planet can look up a transaction, check it out on the blockchain. It's all public, and verify for themselves. They don't need a bank to tell them whether their transaction made it or not. So you have, she was so proud of this idea that she had all of these bankers lined up who were saying, oh, this is a bad thing. Well, of course they're going to say that. What else would they say? They're looking at this is an existential threat to their existence. So they're going to say, yeah, that's a bad thing. Yeah, you should stop it, which I think is hilarious because, like, good luck with that. But the last part I'll say about this is the hypocrisy of this moment is staggering because the dirty little secret there that Elizabeth Warren is not sharing with anybody is that less than 1% of transactions in digital assets are actually used for illicit activity, whereas the vast majority of transactions in illicit activity occurs in US dollars using the banking system.
And the inconvenient statistic, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? And they of course, JP Morgan doesn't stop to mention the billions and billions of dollars of fines that have been handed to his bank and other banks like his for supporting what? Illicit activity.
Glad that you brought that up. I have a graphic by the Bitcoin Senator Cynthia Lummis, and she breaks it down. She says total illicit finance 2.9 trillion, and in crypto and Bitcoin only account for less than 1%, 0.69%. But she's framing it as if it's a clear and present danger. Anyways, we got about a minute or so. Neil, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just to touch on the Jamie Dimon thing, it's almost laughable at this point. If he would have said that, I mean, he said similar things like 5-6 years ago. It used to resonate more with the mainstream and they would just repeat the talking points. But as more and more people understand Bitcoin and acquire it, it just falls on deaf ears what he's saying. It doesn't mean people like him and Elizabeth Warren still don't have a lot of power and we have to, be vigilant and speak up against it. But as time goes on, it's going to be less, their messaging is going to be less and less effective. It's why, onboarding the intransient minority that Corey says is very important. And yeah, I'm just it's funny to see these people now. They're going after Bitcoin for like too much water use. They'll never stop. We're psychopaths. Too much water, too much energy, and they just get more and more ridiculous because what else could they say at this point?
Leave my swimming pools alone. Anyways, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Ben Gagnon. Guys, check him out. Ben Gagnon, Hash Override on Twitter, the legendary host of Cafe Bitcoin. Tune into Cafe Bitcoin Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, Neil Jacobs. Check out FOMO21, the best merch shop in Bitcoin. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. That is.
All right, everybody. We have some awesome panelists coming up. We have Sam the Man Callahan, who's coming up, and we have Terrence Yang, of course. And these are two awesome Bitcoin legends. I'm going to switch with Opti.
All right, guys. How much? 20 minutes?
What? Yes, of course. Yeah. Chris.
Wait, Tone, do you know when the speakers are going to go back on?
Chris, could you work in Tone? Okay.
All right, guys. So live scheduling. But we got Terrence and Sam from Swan.
There we go. All right. Where's Rustin? All right, keep it going. Rustin, switch. So hit it.
What do you got to go?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, you were just on stage. Absolutely. Oh, here. Hold on 1 second, guys. Get in here, get in here, get in here, get in here. Wow. Musical chairs, musical chairs. Musical chairs here. You guys were just on stage. I couldn't catch it fully, but it was what everyone's been talking about on Twitter. It seems like Bitcoin is just going full macro everywhere now. So maybe we can just update these viewers now. What's going on in the world? Where are we right now? Is this time different? Is this cycle different? Is there more media coverage than ever?
When moon?
Well, yeah,
When
whatever
moon.
I want to know. When moon?
Sure. This time is different. The reason is because we have a flood of cash that should be coming in as soon as BlackRock, Fidelity, Invesco, and Franklin Templeton, all professional asset managers that manage well over $1 trillion each, especially in the case of BlackRock and Fidelity. They're going to have legitimize the industry, put their marketing power behind Bitcoin ETFs. We expect that to be approved in first quarter next year, as Alex said. No guarantees, not advice. And also, these ETFs get rid of unit bias because they're going to be offered at something like $25 a share. So people who are used to buying $100 shares at a time of whatever ETF or stock, they're going to be able to put about $2,500, get some exposure to spot Bitcoin, just the economics, not real Bitcoin, because you can't self-custody, but it will move the market up. And I think that's something that people are not aware of. We had gold ETFs. I'll just wrap with this. When they first launched, gold went up about 270% over 7 years. We could see that rise, I think, in 7 months. Why? Because Bitcoin is still considered a freaking scam by idiots. I mean, people who are coiners, and a lot of them don't understand why Bitcoin has any value. They think it's scammy. These are people in my personal life and some of you guys as friends and families. We have these conversations at Thanksgiving dinner, and for these guys to legitimize Bitcoin the way they are will cause a bump up. The last thing I forgot to say is a lot of registered investment advisors, financial advisors, and others, they can finally now have their interests aligned with Bitcoin in that the spot Bitcoin ETF is something they can make money on. So Wall Street is good at what? Making money for themselves, not necessarily the clients. I just think in this case, with Bitcoin as a digital exponential asset, this is something that will also help a lot of Americans, retail, high net worth, family offices, and institutions get some exposure to at least the economics of Bitcoin. Hopefully they will graduate from kindergarten class to high school and get some actual Bitcoin that they self-custody and have something that is freedom money.
Well, love it, Terrence. Actually, a lot of talk has been going around that maybe the spot Bitcoin ETF, when it gets approved, will be a sell the news type scenario. Do you see that, Terrence? I know you just said it's going to pump. Will we get a small little retracement, or what's your thoughts on that?
I'm happy to pull a number out of my dairy, but I think that question should go to Sam Callahan. But
let's go.
I think so real quick, unless Bitcoin is at something like $200,000 by, let's say, April next year, then no, it's a buy the news event, because I don't think anybody outside of us, Bitcoiners, and maybe our close friends and family, know that this is happening. I keep meeting people who are totally unaware that Fidelity and BlackRock are about to even applied for Bitcoin ETFs. They didn't even know that was a thing. And by the way, they're not going to buy some Canadian Bitcoin ETF that's sold out of the back of an igloo along with maple syrup. I love Canada. It's one of my favorite countries in North America. But listen, the U.S. retail, U.S. high net worth and businesses and funds, they want American ETFs. We're lucky that Vanguard is not launching one, because otherwise these 13 or 14 applicants for spot Bitcoin ETFs would not want to get destroyed by Vanguard because their fees are very low. But Vanguard does not. I love Vanguard. They don't understand Bitcoin at all. And so it's just going to be BlackRock, Fidelity, and some of the others competing with each other to get business.
Sam, same question to you. What's your thoughts on the Bitcoin ETF being a sell the news scenario?
I think if you're a short-term trader, I mean, you might want to try to play that, but you could get blown out very easily. I mean, you could have a situation where it pops and then drops, but then long-term, everything that Terrence was just saying in terms of increased demand from these large broker dealers and RIAs, it's could be substantial. I know Galaxy did a estimation. They thought $14.4 billion in inflow from just those institutions in the first year alone. So this could drive incredible amount of demand for the underlying Bitcoin. And that's why people are excited about this ETF. I mean, it just plugs into all of these big firms. It's just a security. So it's just like everything else that they're used to. And it drives the underlying Bitcoin price because these large, these institutions like BlackRock, they're going to be like 12 or 13 of them, and they're all going to compete. They're going to offer different fees and offer perks based on the ETF structure, but they all have to buy the underlying Bitcoin. And there's just not that much Bitcoin, like straight up. There's just not that much Bitcoin available on exchanges. And so that's why you can see just a huge price run up, because they're all trying to see their ETFs at the same time, where retail investors are still stacking and holding. At the same time, you could have more sovereign wealth funds come in. You know, you can just see this scenario where it's this perfect kind of perfect storm of supply and demand dynamics right into the halving. So it's really interesting. And I think it's a buy the news event long term. Yeah, it could dip a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend trading this thing at all.
All right, so Sam, I'm very bullish right now because what you're talking about, there's about 1.8 million Bitcoin on exchanges. We've got 25 trillion in assets under management total. So if they do a 1% allocation, you know, there's only so much Bitcoin available. And then I was reading Dylan LeClaire kind of broke down. They're not going to be able to go all in and stack up their bags all at once. They're going to do a 0.05 or 1% allocation. Then BlackRock and Fidelity and the rest are joining the DCA army. So what kind of implications is that going to put on the market as we're getting cut from 900 Bitcoin down to 450 in a matter of 3 months?
I mean, it's going to be substantial. I mean, it's not that hard for somebody to wrap their head around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty big DCA, or if it's BlackRock, you know, so it's getting scarcer. At the same time, demand's going up. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. I mean, you can try to get very complicated with the analysis, but it's really just supply and demand when it comes down to it.
So as a pleb, should I start adding to my $10 a day DCA or just let Larry pump my bags?
Well, you know, do what's right for you. That's what I would say. But you know, I'm pretty constructive on Bitcoin. Next 2 years, I think are going to be really fantastic from a price appreciation standpoint, from everything we just talked about. And the stat that if you just DCA'd every day since the peak top of 2021, you'd be up like wicked, 40%. Right? Yeah, I mean,
this is incredible.
You can do all the coin metrics did it. Like a lot of people have done it, but it's the way to go, I think, in terms of just steadily building a position, taking advantage of the volatility up and down, and just creating value in the real world, getting sats or getting fiat and then converting it to sats over time. That's the way to do it.
Well, guys, I think the question that we're all asking ourselves, and I think we all have PTSD from the last cycle, is everyone wondering, are the cycles going to repeat? Is this time different? Is everything we're just talking about going to change the market cycle, the market dynamics in Bitcoin? Will we get another correction? Or is this, as Rustin and I like to joke, when the super cycle hits?
Super cycle is possible, but I think it's better to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So you're pleasantly surprised to the upside. I do expect that this will not be the super cycle. The reason is we have 8.1 billion. Hold on. Go ahead.
Well, all I heard was, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yes. There's a good chance, significant non-zero chance, but I think it's more likely that we have a big run up and then it corrects massively. A lot of people get scared. A lot of this depends on what's going on in the macro environment. Right now, it seems like with rates down, people buying stocks up and gold up, it's just a risk-on environment overall. And so people are just buying risk assets, including Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we know, is a risk-off asset, but to the public, it looks like a risk-on asset because it's so volatile. And people are afraid of losing, you know, buying at or near the top and losing their shirts like many of them did in 2022.
I think it's definitely possible. I don't know if it's going to end cycles. I think we're still going to have Bitcoin cycles because people love leverage. They just can't help themselves. They will leverage up and then they'll get blown out eventually. Like where that happens is another question. But you have unique characteristics already with interest rates where they are, Bitcoin has existed in this low interest rate environment, and here it is rallying with rates kind of up 5% and hiking all year, and Bitcoin has performed extraordinary. And so it's already kind of different from that standpoint. And then if you add in like the ETF, FASB rules, increase in institutional adoption, bring in more bigger sovereign wealth funds and things like that, like we could have some significant price appreciation. But I still think there's going to be, a leverage blow off top due to Bitcoin scarcity and the use of leverage. It's kind of hard to avoid. And then it'll kind of drop back down. But where that crash happens, it could be substantially higher from now.
Have one quick, because we have to go to our next guest, but I'm wondering how that's going to play out in the cycles, because now you have the institutions, they have skin in the game. So is there, how this game theory plays? Are they going to try to shake out to acquire more Bitcoin, or are they trying to secure their customers and set a higher floor? So I'm kind of interested in what maybe your guys' take is on that.
Yeah, part of Wall Street that benefits from the shakeout will do it. And the part that benefits from having customers make money on this so they can gather assets, right? And so the asset managers make money from people putting money into Bitcoin and keeping it there and adding to their stack. So they would rather see something that's somewhat slow and steady, like we've been having the past several weeks, right? Where we don't have these parabolic moves up or down, and it's nice and steady. So if we can keep that, that's really, really bullish for asset managers like Fidelity and BlackRock and their ETFs, I think. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with Terrence. I don't know if I have anything to add to that.
That was awesome. That's awesome. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, this has been awesome. I think you just injected everyone with some macro bull sauce, which everyone loves nowadays. And producer Chris is doing the hook now and kicking us out of here. So appreciate it, guys. He's wrapping up. Okay.
Oh, who's up next?
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. All right. Musical chairs. Okay. Who do we have next? Is it BJ?
Straight killed it, boys.
Do we have BJ? We have BJ and Brandon. Okay. Oh wow, this is gonna be a good one. Is it?
Natalie?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Me here? Okay. Well, let's Natalie go in first. Aren't you gonna go from that side?
All right, boys, let's step in. We're live.
Yeah, you're live.
Seeing you first. What's up, brother?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Musical chairs on this one.
All right, here we go.
Do you guys a production, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, Murphy, could you do camera on my side? Yeah, cool.
Hello, how are you?
You're live.
All right, we are live, everybody.
Well, we're meeting each other live.
We are
That's
live.
the whole spirit of Bitcoin, right?
We are live. All right, everybody, you are listening to the Unconfiscatable live stream, streaming from the Vays channel and the Simply Bitcoin Twitter handle, I guess you could say. But this is the Simply Bitcoin. Yeah, now it's X. That's right. Yeah, this is the Simply Bitcoin news desk. We have an awesome panel with us today. We have Natalie Burnell. She is the host of Coin Stories. We have BJ Ditcher, freedom fighter from Canada, and also the author of Honking for Freedom, which we have over there. You guys can check it out. Buy yourself a copy. And we have Brandon. Brandon, how you doing? You're with the Bitcoin trading cards, right?
Yes.
Dude, I pulled a Nico trading card. First pack I opened, and there was a Nico in there, and I was so happy. That was awesome. Anyways, you pulled a Natalie? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you sign your own card? I'm debating whether I should sign my own card.
Well, people sometimes come up to me and ask me to sign there, so I've done that. That's fun. That's always nice. I'm like, are you sure you want this? I don't think this is going to be worth anything, but
that was a new experience. That was a new experience for me today. And then this is like a little gold marker, and then they ask you for the block. Mm-hmm. It was very, very cool. So Natalie, this is I know that you came last year. Yes. To Unconfiscatable. This is a very special conference, very unique. The Las Vegas setting, like I feel like it's like an embodiment of tone. What are some things about it that you like?
I like that it's more intimate. I like that it's smaller, very pure signal. A lot of great speakers. It was great to hear from Jack Mallers today. We heard a lot about mining also the last 2 days, the new decentralized mining pool. So just a lot of really great information. And it's fun to round out this year. This is my last conference of 2023. I feel like I've been to 25 maybe this year. So it's a nice way to end it in a fun place.
So you said 25 and I'm dying and I think I did 6 and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I was telling Opti, I was like, I can't do this anymore, bro. This is crazy. But 25 conferences.
Yeah. I mean, and think about that. That's the bear market.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're technically maybe not in a bear market anymore, but to think that there have been so many events, and most of them have been Bitcoin, but not all. Like, I've been invited to speak at an insurance conference this year. I spoke at a business leadership conference where Tucker Carlson was the keynote a couple weeks ago here in Vegas. So, the Bitcoin message is spreading to communities outside of just this industry, which I think is really powerful. It's a very bullish sign. And I can only imagine what the next couple of years will be.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely exciting. So before we pass it on to the Freedom Fighter, I do have a clip of Elizabeth Warren basically speaking with Jamie Dimon, the CEO of the largest bank in the United States. Natalie, I know you know this. It's JP Morgan, right? I nailed it. I'm learning. Okay, let's play the clip. And BJ, I want to get your thoughts on it.
Has been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
So BJ, does this surprise you? I mean, you were at the front of this. You were on. Tucker brought you on Tucker Carlson tonight to talk about this. This is an escalation. Things just seem to be accelerating. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly people are willing to ruin all their credibility in front of the entire world. Because my response to Jamie Dimon would be, then why is BlackRock filing for an ETF? Why are 12 companies filing for an ETF? You're supposed to be Mr. Finance. You're supposed to be in with these guys. So the mixed messaging is crazy. And in terms of Elizabeth Warren, look, I've dealt with a lot of politicians, you can imagine, in various theaters. And that is what we call a swamp creature. They know they're lying. She knows she's lying. Everybody knows they're lying. That's the game. And they know they're going to lose. And our experience in Canada proved that decentralized money is the future. And I remember walking into the main hall at Bitcoin Miami 2023, and on stage was Robert F. Kennedy, not exactly a fringe individual. And what did he say? He said it was the Canadian truckers that made me realize the importance of freedom money. What the Canadian government did to those poor people by freezing their bank accounts, by the way, and our credit cards, lines of credit, corporate bank accounts, everything I had. That is what orange-pilled Robert F. Kennedy. So they realize the game is up, and this is desperation. This is desperate political messaging, and I think it's going to come to an end.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I hope people wake up. I hope people start asking questions. I hope people start asking the very basic question, which is, what is money? Why is my money designed to lose purchasing power over time? And I think if people start asking those questions and they're aware of those questions, things will change very, very quickly. Anyways, I do want to pass it on to Brandon. Brandon, we haven't heard from you much. How you doing, man? Those trading cards, dude. Look, another thing that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, especially on Simply Bitcoin Live, is this idea of politics is downstream from culture. How do we win over the culture? Do we win over the culture by obviously making content, making art, making music? Shout out Sophie. I think she just turned in some song for the Orange Pill app. But yeah, the trading cards play an integral part, right? In making more culture, taking over the culture. And you guys have achieved tremendous success. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. And BJ and I do the Political Bitcoin Hour. And there's, like you just mentioned, it's the Plato quote we talk about all the time. Opti, if you're not involved in politics, you're going to be governed by your inferiors. And there's really no other way to say it. We have to bridge that gap somehow. You have to somehow get from the locale. You have to get back to the decentralized nature of what politics was and should be. And then the cards themselves, so transitioning to that, it's Bitcoin's social layer. That's what we're here for. That's why Bitcoin will win. It's because of that social layer, because people like Jamie Dimon, hey, he's a human being. However, he is incentivized to do what he is going to do. We are incentivized to do what we're going to do. And we will win because of that. There's much more of us than there are them. We will win.
100%. And Natalie, how do you feel about that statement? Are we going to win? I mean, you've been interviewing some of the most high profile people. You did an interview with Vivek. You did an interview with RFK Jr. You did an interview with Ricardo Salinas on your incredible podcast. So, are we going to win, Natalie Brunell?
I think we are going to win because better technology always wins, and Bitcoin is a superior technology. So this is the way that the world is shifting. And in the same way that Sears didn't like for Amazon to emerge, in the same way that Kodak didn't want Instagram to emerge or Blockbuster want Netflix to emerge, it's just going to move in the direction of better technology. And it was funny because I wrote a tweet or whatever you want to call it on X these days. I didn't realize it would get as much traction as it would, but I just said, we don't have to be against Jamie Dimon to be for Bitcoin. We could just be for Bitcoin and promote the amazing benefits that it has to society, to the average person, as well as communities and nation states. And Jamie Dimon is someone who rose to the top of an industry that's very opaque. Bitcoin is open. He rose to the top of an industry where risk-taking is completely decoupled from consequences. Bitcoin is based on proof of work and merit. And so I think that Bitcoin is going to speak for itself. I'm so happy that more and more people are getting the message. We need to do more. We need to educate people. We need to get people in office who understand this technology, because you should never be able to regulate a technology you don't understand. And unfortunately, we have a lot of leaders who don't understand Bitcoin. That will change, and of course it will win.
I love that answer. Which is not necessarily fighting Jamie Dimon, just doing the thing, spreading the message. Anyways, BJ, what about you? Do you think we're going to win?
I think we're going to win, but I also think we need to fight this battle on many different planes. There's this Parasites quote that I like, which is, just because you don't take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you. And we have many examples throughout history of the consequences of that. And I know a lot of people in Bitcoin don't like politics. They think the game is rigged, which it is. They think everything is prescripted, which it is. But that doesn't mean we don't engage and build a community within the system to fight back.
I just want to add something to that, because I mentioned that I was just at a keynote recently that Tucker Carlson gave here, and he said something that really stuck with me, and maybe you guys will agree. He said that politics is fine, because politics is this idea that grown adults come together. One person wants one thing, the other person wants something else, and you sort of negotiate, and you all walk away compromising a little bit, but you sort of meet somewhere where everyone's a little bit satisfied and everyone's also compromised. What we have today isn't really politics. He pointed out that it's really just this top-down control, people feeling coerced, people feeling like they've lost all their freedoms. And so we need to focus on the fact that Bitcoin empowers us. It's a tool for economic empowerment, for individual empowerment. And that's why I think ultimately things will move in that direction, because technology globally will empower it.
And if I can just add to something before Brandon pipes in. I mean, look how far we've come. When I ran for office, I ran for federal office in Canada, and that was in 2015. I couldn't tell anybody I was into Bitcoin. If I did, I'd automatically be disqualified. Why? Because Bitcoin was for criminal activity. It was for all sorts of nefarious purposes. And here we are in an era where people are running for the most powerful office on the planet. Some of them are tripping over each other to identify the Bitcoin voting bloc and get them on board. So what's going to happen in another 10 years?
And that's a phenomenal point. And you look at the gerontocracy we have. I can't stand the okay boomer meme. I can't stand that. There is something to that though, and it's the demographic shift. Demographics are destiny, and you're going to have the hippie bubble. We've talked about this a lot, but the hippie bubble, they're the ones, you look at the Frankfurt School in the 30s, people coming over, and the Fabian socialists, the Marxist class coming over, and you're educating the future leaders of the country in essence. And that led to the 60s movement. And then the 60s hippies in essence are the ones running everything in the country, or everything in the world, I should say. So you're going to see this real massive shift. Again, why we're going to win demographics. I mean, demographics itself are why we're going to win, just because you're going to have the younger generations coming when that maybe thinks more like us over here. It doesn't matter. All those people are looking for change, period. And they know the old system doesn't work. They know the 401ks don't, all these garbage, pensions, they're gone. They're gone. That was for a time where it worked for them. And we need the 3%. We talk about this all the time too. The 3%, the American Revolution was fought with 3% of the people. That's it. And then people started coming on board once they saw people winning. That's all of us here. That's it. We're the one, and ironically, it's the Swan mission, right? Which is 3%, it's 10 million people. That's what you need at the end of the day of Americans, at least 3% of America is 10 million. That's why we win, because we have 3% of people. We get to that number, and you start seeing this shift all of a sudden to people coming to our side more and more and more. You're already seeing it a little bit. We all see it a little bit just day after day, second after second, these things happen, but we will win because of that demographics, getting to that 3% number. That's going to be the game changer. You're going to see everything slide after that.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have about a minute or so. So guys, we're heading into 2024, the halving year. Natalie, you have about 30 seconds. What are you excited about?
I would like for Bitcoin to stay suppressed in price so that I can purchase more Satoshis. Thank you.
Well, Natalie's base today. Wow. Okay, BJ, what about you?
I'm just excited about the momentum. Look, I just spent a couple weeks in the United Kingdom. I went on trigonometry and lotus eaters and talked about this sort of stuff. Freezing the bank accounts was the number one most powerful orange pilling experience in the world. Every country I go to, that is the only thing people want to talk about. Doesn't matter where they are on the political spectrum. Everyone cares about their money and everyone cares about their freedom.
Beautiful, beautiful. Brandon, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the election coming up obviously is going to be massive, and we want Bitcoin in every politician, Jamie Dimon, everyone's mouth. Everyone. It's the Streisand effect at the end of the day. It's only good, whether they're talking ill of it, doesn't matter. It's the Streisand effect. The more we want it on everybody's lips, young, old, doesn't matter. So that's going to be huge, I think. But cheap sats obviously would be nice. That'll be great. But I think we're going to see a lot of adoption going forward, because my big thing is getting prepared in many ways. Community, what we're all doing here is amazing, and come to conferences, whatever it might be. Community is the number one thing in a survival situation, and we're here on Earth. Newsflash, we're in a survival situation, right? So we're trying to survive every day. Get around the people that think like you. Build community digitally, build it in person, because it's not food, it's not water, it's not Bitcoin, it's not gold. It's community, and this is what drives you forward. So I think that's the big thing for me, is getting prepared for what's coming. I do think there's going to be things that aren't awesome. They're not going to be great things coming forward, because they have to get crazier and crazier. They have to. It's inevitable. You have to get crazier. The system does, because it's imploding. So get prepared. The attacks, then they fight you stage right. You guys talk about all the time. So I think that's the big thing for me going forward.
The excuses themselves are suffering from inflation. Anyways, I do want to thank our panelists today. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. Host of the Coin Stories podcast. BJ, check out his new book, Honking for Freedom. And Brandon, check out the BTC trading cards. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. All right, everybody. We're bringing in a new panel coming in soon. All right, Opti's squeezing in.
Actually, let's get Tone in.
Yeah, we're getting Tone in. All right, we're switching in. We're going to get Tone, the organizer of the conference. Opti, I lost my journal. Could you find it? Okay. All right, guys. We are bringing in the new panelists. We got Tone Vays. Here we go. How you doing, Tone? Brother from another mother. We got Gary Leland, the organizers of two of my favorite Bitcoin conferences, and we have our guests as well. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm always doing great, though.
I always know Gary's doing great, because Gary always has a giant smile on his face. I need to get on that tip, Gary. And of course, Tone, how you doing? Second day of the conference, man. It's almost over. It's kind of sad.
I know, man. I'm already exhausted. I got half a day to go, and then tomorrow we're gonna have fun, and then you already doxed yourself, so can't wait for the wedding. Congratulations.
I'm so happy that you're coming, man. Originally, can I tell him, Tone? Originally, I was like, Tone, could you marry us and dress in an Elvis costume? And then I felt bad. I was like, no. We're just going to get one of Sophie's friends. But man, this has been an incredible conference. Gary, you've been coming to these almost regularly, right?
This one?
Yeah.
I've been coming, I think, since the get-go. Yeah, this is a great conference. I'm just going to say that right now. If you haven't been Unconfiscatable, I do a conference, so I know what a good conference is. I know what kind of work it takes to do this conference. And Tone does a great job. You need to come next year, because you missed this one.
Yeah, 100%. And what's up, man? I heard you are a tinkerer. I heard you. I saw Sophie was wearing. It was like, what is it, like a block clock or?
Essentially, yeah. Well, it connects to the hotspot on your phone.
What would you call that device?
I call it the bit chain. Like, yeah, because it's it's around your neck.
Where can people get one?
Geyser.
Geyser. Okay. I love Geyser. Got a huge fan of the project and Mick and what he's doing over there. All right. I'm gonna play this video for you two gentlemen, for Tone, for Gary, and of course my friend over there. And here we have Jamie Dimon being interviewed by Elizabeth Warren, and he had some things to say about Bitcoin. Let's check it out.
Has been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have been built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
That was from a couple days ago, Gary.
Oh, so is he trying to get the price down to buy more? Or is that the scoop?
I think so. You think that's what he's doing? But I mean, like, seriously, these attacks are really escalating. Gary, are you worried at all?
No, I'm not worried. It's too late to kill us. We've won.
I'm actually more worried for the general financial system that Jamie Dimon, after Bitcoin's 15 years in existence, still doesn't understand it.
I mean, Tone, you coming from the Wall Street world, does this surprise you at all that he still doesn't understand it?
It surprises me a little at this point, right? Like when people were saying the same exact thing, like back in 2012, 2013, even 2014, it kind of makes sense, but not at this point. Like not when a country has adopted it as its currency. Like at some point, you got to say, maybe this is something I should understand. And I know he's the CEO and I know he's busy, but it reminds me, anytime I see these clips, it reminds me of this story where it was, I forgot who said it, but it was like in 2012. It was at some dinner, and like Barack Obama, who was still president, and he's at a dinner and he's asking the CEO of Google about Bitcoin, and the guy didn't even know what it was. Like he's like, "Hey, is Bitcoin something I should worry about?" And the guy's like, "Nah, it's irrelevant." But like these people, they become in these positions, and they were experts at the time. But once you become an expert, you're so busy being that expert, you completely miss the newest and latest stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I forget who it was exactly, but Jamie Dimon isn't exactly incentivized to be a fan of Bitcoin. The more people learn about Bitcoin, the more people pull their money out of the banking system entirely and hopefully into cold storage, right?
No, but real quick, right? It's not about like, it's obvious that he's not going to be a fan of Bitcoin, right? But at the end, when he says, if I was the US government, I would stop it. Just the misunderstanding that he thinks the government can stop it is what is embarrassing for the financial system. He's completely factually wrong on something that he should have realized a decade ago.
Yeah, and what is striking about that, to add to your point, Tone, is that this is the CEO of America's largest bank.
Right. This is what's embarrassing for the financial system, because like he can say, look, my thing is always this, right? I've always been a defender of Gary Gensler, not because I necessarily agree with what he does, but I know that Gary Gensler understands Bitcoin as well as you and I do. And we can disagree with his policies, but at least it's a person that understands it. And Jamie Dimon clearly doesn't understand it. And and they're asking him like he's an expert.
100%.
Isn't this the same person that said he would fire anyone who worked for him that bought Bitcoin years ago?
That's exactly the same person that said that. Yeah.
So, and then didn't his bank go out and buy some Bitcoin or invest in it shortly after?
They've been buying.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, like I said earlier, is he trying to get one more goodbye before?
Maybe he's trying to get the price down. Anyways, I haven't heard a lot from you, my friend. So what was your thoughts on the clip?
Well, he's obviously scared, and rightfully so. When a better technology comes along that's going to replace, your entire point of your business. I mean, that can be a pretty terrifying moment, right? So, but ultimately, there's not really much that they can do. So,
Absolutely, 100%. So I wanted to get Gary. You've been in the space in the Bitcoin world for a pretty long time. Tone, you have as well. I'm coming up on my 7th, going into my 8th year, and yeah, I'm assuming if you're making if you're making that type of thing, I'm assuming you've been in Bitcoin for a little bit.
More stuff on him than I've ever seen. This guy's got more stuff here than
I know. I need to, like, where do I get that jacket, man? That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's custom built, man. I was working on it for about 3 months.
Did they tackle you at the airport?
No, I got through without them even searching the bag. I was so surprised because I was worried. There's like 100 wires in this jacket. So,
and God forbid he had a water bottle in that suitcase, man. They would have definitely found the jacket.
Or a tube of toothpaste that was over a certain size.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I was bringing all this up is, a lot of the narrative that I've heard, and I think it comes down to Bitcoin's unit buys ultimately, is, are people too late to Bitcoin? So if this is your first Unconfiscatable, or you're tuning into Tone Vays' YouTube channel and you're listening to the Simply Bitcoin news desk, Tone, what would you say to them?
Well, if you're expecting 1,000x return, you're probably too late. So if you are going to buy Bitcoin, you need to be buying it for the right reasons. Crazy speculation and getting rich should not be one of them. And the best reason to buy Bitcoin is literally this brand, Unconfiscatability, the first unconfiscatable asset in human history. I started using this term and promoting the concept as far back as 2014 or 15. And then someone reminded me, Tone, why don't you just buy the domain? It's literally available for $12. And it just like the light flipped, like immediately bought it. Like within 5 minutes of just someone reminding me, how come I don't own the domain Unconfiscatable? Because I keep using the word. I had the domain for like 3-4 years. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, how about an event called Unconfiscatable? And here we are.
Boom, boom, boom. Anyways, Gary, what about what are your thoughts on this? Are people too late to Bitcoin? So Tone said something interesting. If you're looking for 1,000x returns, it's probably in the past. But does that exclude 100x returns, Tone?
Well, over a longer time period, right? So yes, you can probably still potentially get 1,000x return. It's going to take you a lot longer, right? The easy money has been made by those that took the risk and got in early. And that's another thing I say. I like when you get into Bitcoin, right? Like people have no idea how, especially when you've been through a few bear markets, like what you have put yourself through to hodl through a bear market, and the sacrifices you had to make and the reasoning you had to do. And then when it hits a new all-time high, all those friends that were making fun of you start telling you how lucky you were.
Yeah, 100%. Like I couldn't grow facial hair, and then I went through a bear market, and all of a sudden, I got facial hair, and my tips started to turn blonde. It was strange. Gary,
well, I still can't grow facial hair, and I'm like almost 70, so don't feel bad. But on the question of is it too late? Let's really think about it. When the people who bought Bitcoin at 100 bought it, and they knew people who bought it at 50 cents, they thought they were late. When the people who bought it for 1,000 bought it, and they knew people who bought it for 100, those people thought they were late. The same thing happened to the people who bought it at $10,000. They thought they were late. Now we're about to pass $45,000. I don't know what percentage you're going to make, but I promise you, you are not late to Bitcoin. Only 3% of the people in the world even know what in the hell it is. So how could you be late? You're an early adopter if you buy now. So get off zero. That's all I got to say. That's the deal. You're not too late.
Beautiful. Get off zero. My friend, the tinkerer of things, the maker of the block clock around your neck. Are we too late to Bitcoin?
No, not even close. Until we swallow the entire fiat world with Bitcoin, you're not too late. And we haven't done that yet. So there's a long way to go, and we're well on track to do that. Every year we get closer and closer, and it's an inevitability. So
absolutely bullish. All right, so guys, we have about 3 minutes left, and then we're going to pass it back to part 2 of day 2 of the Unconfiscatable conference. So we are heading into 2024, the year of the halving. I'm extremely excited. Tone, what are you excited about?
Man, I'm actually excited for the bull market. Look, price go up. That's actually my biggest excitement right now for Bitcoin. I know we're all here for the technology. We're not here for the price rising. But I think the technology, and to me, the technology has established itself. And yes, there are still potential problems, but like the big blocker threats and some of the other threats and the big upgrade with Taproot. I mean, these things are already behind us. And I think the Bitcoin code, I'm confident that Bitcoin is now here to stay technologically. And eventually, people no longer have to teach other people how to use the internet and why to use the internet. And people just start using the internet. And I think Bitcoin's almost there. So I'm at a point where I don't need to explain Bitcoin to anyone. It's too easy to figure it out on your own by now if you don't already know it. So at this point, I am looking forward to the bull market.
Beautiful, beautiful. What about you, Gary?
First, let me say, I'm kind of getting scared sitting by this guy with all this stuff happening here, but I'm pretty excited for all my boomer and non-boomer friends that I convinced and talked into Bitcoin, and they bought Bitcoin just because I wouldn't leave it alone. And now they're really calling me, getting excited about what they're seeing. So this is exciting, hearing from all of them. But, I'm getting ready to hear from people I haven't talked to since elementary school, because that happens when we hit the bull market. I'll hear from people I haven't seen in 60 years. And they'll go, hey, can you tell me about Bitcoin? So I'm excited to reconnect with all these old people I haven't seen in 60 years.
Yeah, absolutely. You get the messages from friends and family like, hey, how are you? How are things? We haven't talked in 5 years, but I'm now interested in your friendship. But anyways, man, so why don't you show off some of your gadgets and tell everybody where they can find them?
Sure. Well, on Geyser, I have, the portable block clock that you can wear essentially. I have a keychain ATM for orange pilling, and then I just released the Bitcoin thermostat for ASIC miners running brains. And then I just made the suit for the event because, I wanted to support Geyser, wanted to support Lightning Ventures with Mike Jarvis. In terms of, kind of getting to your question about, I have a very, very low time preference for Bitcoin. I don't even care. I don't care if it takes 50 years. I don't care if I'm dead and pass it to my kids. So what I'm excited about, though, and I want to thank Tone for this is my first Bitcoin conference. I've never been to one. And so being exposed to the Bitcoin culture here is so much different than what you typically get at like a meetup group. And so I want to thank you for that, man. And it's just been an awesome experience.
So we got to get you one of these Tinker things with the Unconfiscatable logo.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys. Well, we're going to pass it back to the main stage of Unconfiscatable. Day 2, part 2. But before, I want to give a shout out to Tone for hosting the conference. Also, check out the Financial Summit. Gary's BitBlock Boom. It's changing locations, going back to Dallas, right?
And in April, we were trying to get to having. We're a little off, but we're pretty close.
And the Simply Bitcoin news desk will be at BitBlock Boom. So
prime position. Everybody's going to be seeing
man,
this.
I'm so excited. And the Tinker, man, it's not a bomb. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Tone.
Thanks,
Gary.
Forward to BitBlock Boom, Gary.
Yeah, for sure.
Gary,
We're gonna have
thank
a great
you so
time.
much.
Yeah.
And appreciate it, guys.
Real quick, all my stuff is open source as well. So if you don't want to buy it, build it and post pictures. I'm all about just building the community. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, we're going to end the stream and pass it back to the main stage. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Simply Bitcoin news desk at Unconfiscatable Day 2. We'll catch you guys later. Hopefully we'll be back next year. Peace out, everybody.
All right, Auntie. All right, guys. All right. Press end here, guys.